Hello and welcome to Pro Tour Atlanta. I'm Randy Bueller. I'm sitting in the booth with Mike Flores, and we're getting ready to watch the finals of Pro Tour Atlanta, bringing you a little pregame action for those of you out there on the internet. Pretty good top four, don't you think?
Yeah, this is a really exciting top four. There are a couple of things that I think are really interesting and great about it. We Add is a last chance qualifier team.
Cinderella story, absolutely.
I think it's awesome when you have these people who grind in at the tournament.
Mm-hmm.
Like a great example would be, of course, Eugene Harvey. He's never been qualified for anything.
Oh, good point.
And he's like, oh, take a bus down to Nationals with such unqualified players as Osip Levinovich, his buddies. No one had ever heard of Team Tojite or anything.
That's right.
And Eugene ground in, and he was on the national team.
Yeah, we were talking about this.
National champion right afterwards.
There's never been an LCQ qualified person playing on Sunday at a Pro Tour before. So the LCQ is the last chance qualifier, for those of you who don't know what we're talking about. And Thursday, the day before the Pro Tour, there's one last tournament. It's the last chance for anyone to qualify for the Pro Tour. So I don't know how big it was. It's usually about 100 people, and the top couple of people get in. It's usually 4 spots. And this time, 3 of the 4 teams made it through to day 2, and we had sitting on Sunday. So that's the first time anyone's ever gone all the way from LCQ to Sunday. But Eugene Harvey, you make a good point.
Eugene Harvey is probably the best example. John Finkel's close because he was unqualified, but then missed top 8 before that.
Right. So Mike's talking about at U.S. Nationals,
yeah.
the LCQ is actually based on a phenomenon that's been going on at U.S. Nationals forever, which they call the meat grinders, where it's a series of qualifiers. There's usually at least half a dozen of them in the Thursday before U.S. Nats. And John Finkel qualified for, was his first U.S. Nationals? It was 97. He played 96, didn't he?
This is a funny story. John was playing at regionals that year.
Right.
He was unqualified for nationals. And we were playtesting before the tournament.
Uh-huh.
And he insisted that Amber Prison was the correct card to play against Caldron Outpost. And I kept disenchanting his Amber Prison and beating him with my Caldron Outpost. So he changed his deck right before the tournament started. And he's very deep, undefeated in the tournament.
Yeah.
And just out of spite, Dave Bachman calls a deck check on John.
Uh-oh.
And John had incorrectly changed his deck because of the Amber Prison switch.
Oops. And
was forced to play without a sideboard for the remaining 2 or 3 rounds of the tournament. And, of course, he got blown out of the water.
Wow.
So he had to grind in after that.
This is 97.
This is 97. But he ground in and was only 1 match out of the top 8.
Right, so there was one player that almost went from a meat grinder to a Sunday appearance, but fell around short. But then Eugene Harvey turned the trick and went all the way through to the national team.
And then the next year was national champion.
Right, so that was it 01 where he ground in, and then 02 he was national champion?
Trevor Blackwell, was he the national champion?
I think it was 02. So
01.
Eugene Harvey has pulled this trick off. We Add, looking to do it for the first time on the Pro Tour. Has now done it for the first time.
Well, speaking of U.S. national players, Andrew Pacifico of We Add was a top 8 U.S. Nationals 1998.
Yep, 1998. It's also the 1996 Junior World Champion.
I knew that. I was actually talking to Larrabee this morning about whether or not Pacifico was a JSS champion or not. I wasn't sure if there was such a thing as JSS yet.
No, he was a Junior World Champion.
Yeah, that's what
Super Series. It didn't have that title yet, I don't think.
And Chambers on We Add rooms with Ken Crooner. I'm sorry, not Ken Crooner. Tim Ayton. And you were telling me that Ken Crooner put together this team.
Yeah, they just called him Dad. I'm like, how'd you guys meet? And he's like, Dad. Who's Dad? Go, Ken Crooner. Like, of course, I should know this. KK is apparently quite the matchmaker when it comes to Team Rochester.
And Ken himself played on an LCQ team with Geddes Cooper and Joe Crosby, and they finished in the top 10, correct?
Definitely. We've got the standings here. They got through deep into day 2.
Very well for a last chance qualifier team, especially.
What was their name?
Don't remember.
They're Squads Pack Souls? Yeah, they lost the last round to get 17th.
17th is a great finish for a last chance qualifier team in any case. It's funny, though, that they call him Dad because there's a team called He's Not Our Dad, which has Eric Taylor. And Dad, Ken Crooner, put together a team for Eric Taylor 1 or 2 Pro Tours ago as well, with some local players from Ken's area.
So We Add will be taking on a team of French veterans in the semifinal match. That'll actually be the match we're going to start on. The schedule for today is draft with 1 semifinal. Those teams, We Add and Ludipia, will go off and build their decks, while the other 2 teams come on and draft. That'll be Nova and One Spin. Nova and One Spin will go off to bring their decks. We'll bring back We Add and Ludipia. They'll play their match, when they're done playing, we'll bring back Nova versus One Spin. They'll play, and then it'll be time for a lunch break. We'll set up the 2 finals, come back after lunch, and see who wins. Anyway, Ludipia is a team of French veterans. They've got a bunch of Pro Tours, but 2 of them have a bunch of Pro Tours.
2 of them have. One of them first-time Pro Tour.
Right. So the 2 guys basically own a shop together. That's Ben Combs and Nicolas Bornarel. They own the shop. I think one of them owns the shop, the other one works there, something like that. But they've got a shop in Clermont, France. They've been playing Magic forever. These are just consummate gamers. They've been on the Pro Tour, 10 times, 20 times.
Combs has a Sunday appearance.
Combs does have a top 8 for Yokohama. Good point. But Camille Finet never played on the Pro Tour before. That team won a PTQ, showed up. They haven't dropped a match yet. They ran the table with some really nice sealed decks, and then they went 4-0 in draft and drew in the last round to win by a landslide. They were up 4 points in the field going into the last round, so they could have lost and still they had clinched the number 1 seed even if they'd lost the last round. So
that's actually
pretty impressive Swiss performance.
Really interesting because I think that teams is conducive to kind of unsung heroes doing really well at the Pro Tour level. Now, obviously, you're going to have teams like Nova, teams like Phoenix Foundation in the past, or Antarctica, that are full of your move games, that have champions on the teams, and you're not surprised when they do well.
All those are friends, though.
But in teams, you have squads that are put together that are geographically local to one another and are able to practice together, develop synergies and strategies in draft that their opponents might not know about, and just have a familiarity and a trust with one another, such that the dynamics in Team Rochester draft are very rewarding to them. Also, players complain all the time, like, oh, I was mana screwed, oh, I was unlucky. When you have 3 people playing a 3-game match at the same time, those kind of factors dwindle over the long run, because not everyone gets unlucky at the same time all the time. So I think that there's a lot of teams that you could put together who you might never have heard of, and these guys have a Cinderella story to start with. I mean, Gabriel Nassif, for example, made his breakout performance in teams. No one knew who he was.
It's true.
And then, 2-3 years later, he's the player of the year. Ironically considered the top constructed player.
Yeah, it's a lot of people. Gabriel Nassif, reigning player of the year, of course. And people don't necessarily remember that his first Sunday performance was actually in Team Rochester draft as a member of Le Pleu class. A couple of his buddies from Paris showed up, their first real Pro Tour. So the team, Nassif, Nicolas Olivieri, and who's the third?
I said Lorcal.
Emil Tenenbaum.
Emil Tenenbaum.
Yeah.
Oh. Now I remember. He blew Green Madness into a Grand Prix that next
He to top 8. He was in the top 8 of Ken Ho's Pro Tour.
With
Ken Ho, the forgotten Pro Tour champion. Mike's complaining about getting old. He was looking to a plaque with all the Pro Tour winners on it.
I couldn't get half of them right. I was looking down at dates. I remember there was a Pro Tour Los Angeles. I said to myself, I was qualified for that Pro Tour. Who won that? I said, Trevor
Good
Black.
friend Steve O'Mahony Schwartz.
It was Steve's Pro Tour, and I said Trevor Blackwell to myself. Unforgivable.
So give you the rundown on the other couple teams through to Sunday. Like I said, I think this is going to be real interesting. Everybody's got a storyline here. You've got Cinderella, you've got the veterans finally getting their breakout performance, you've got the rising stars in Japanese one spin, and we'll talk a lot about one spin later on. These guys can play the game.
They play awesome.
And they play more than anybody else. They're starting to travel the world. Kenji Sumura, actually, I was listening to the story. He came away from Worlds a little bit bitter. He actually was on the Japanese national team that almost got into the top 2, but he lost a match due to miscommunication, and the judge said that he'd accidentally committed to not blocking when his opponent was attacking for lethal, and of course he was going to block, and there was just sort of this communication issue, and he came away from that like, I need to play every international event I can possibly play. I can't let this happen to me again. He didn't get mad that the judge made a bad ruling. I mean, maybe it was bad, maybe it wasn't. He was just like, I need to get better playing international Magic. I need to get better at playing people I can't communicate with. Now he's traveling to American Grand Prix. He and Oiso he's sort of mentoring under Oiso, and now here he sits on Sunday.
That's funny that Oiso's mentoring anyone because he was Rookie of the Year so recently.
Okay. And their opponents, quite the star-studded team. Nova clearly has the best resumes in this top 8. But you look at it, and they're playing together because they're friends. Right. The only reason Gabe Sang and Dave Rude left World of Warcraft, I think, was for the sort of camaraderie of Team Rochester, Team Pro Tours in general. So
amazing element. I mean, the entire concept of the Team Pro Tour really brings people out of the woodwork who might still be qualified for the Pro Tour but have other interests, especially who have gotten older. Examples are like Chris Pakula is playing with the very young player Josh Ravitz. Their team has done really well over team events in the past year. Bob Maher, Neil Reeves, and Dave Williams are together. Bob, ironically, is the reigning invitational champion, but hasn't attended a Pro Tour in the last year. And the camaraderie, as you said, of teams brings these guys together.
Yeah, say hello. You're on the air.
Hi, y'all.
There you go.
Announcer wants a headset.
Fair enough. Yeah, Nova, it may look like it's the one team that's not geographic. It's the only team that's not really geographical, right? You've got the 3 French players, the Japanese players, and then WeAd is not geographical. So it's sort of 2 geographical-based teams, and then 2 not necessarily.
WeAd is like a team of Providence. They're
Cinderella, and they really. It's funny. Adam Chambers, the upstate New York connection, rooms with Tim Ayton, has roomed with Ken Kroner at one point in the past, had never met Don Smith until Thursday. Like, he and Pacifico met at Grand Prix Chicago and sort of enjoyed hanging out together. So they're like, yeah, this could be fun. Yeah,
speaking of Grand Prix Chicago, fair enough. Like, Chambers is in the top 4 of that Grand Prix. He's got a real resume in teams.
No, the kid can play. I mean, people have been singing his praises for a while now. He's got a juniors top 8, a Grand Prix top 4. The kid can definitely play. So Chambers and Pacifico were having a good time hanging out in Chicago. Their buddy KK sort of said, hey, why don't you guys play the LCQ together? Kroner was here playing the LCQ as well with a couple other friends. And yeah, Don Smith, I guess he and Pacifico must know each other. But Smith has never played a Pro Tour before. He's a law student back in Jacksonville, Florida, where Pacifico's from. So I assume he knows Pacifico. He and Chambers met on Thursday, and I guess they're glad they did.
Did you watch the last match that OneSpin played to make the top 4?
Yeah, it was crazy.
I can't believe the speed that Kenji plays at.
Yeah, Sumuro they started game 3 during a time extension.
6 minutes.
They had a 9-minute time extension. Game 2 ended early in the time extension.
The judge said, when you start game 3, there will be 6 minutes on the clock.
Right.
And he was playing a blue-white deck that had fog effects in it.
Right.
And managed to win in 6 minutes.
That was impressive. And it was tight play, too. It was not a simple match. It wasn't, just run over man and scoot opponent. It was trick your opponent into blowing a trick with a tricky block.
That block was, I was telling Randy earlier, Kenji made a play that at lightning speed, like the Flash would be impressed with the speed that he was playing this match, and he made a block without completely a fluid play where, of course, that's the block you make. Mm-hmm. That was better than a block I would have made at like 1/8 speed, and forced his opponent to blow his blessed breath, and then he's just like, all right, I'll sack my Kami of false hope. Annihilate your play, steal your best trick.
It was definitely
completely pulled the rug out from under him.
So you guys will get the chance to watch Kenji Sumuro draft and play later on. They should be on in about 40 minutes or so. Right now, the French team and the Cinderella team are sitting down, flipping the coin to figure out who's going to kick off, who's going to receive. Not that far away right now from getting this Pro Tour started. In fact, we're very close to getting started, so we're going to wrap up the pregame show. Mike and I will be back momentarily with the semifinal draft between WeAd and Les Baltringues de Ludipia. See you then. Hello and welcome to the Pro Tour Atlanta semifinal draft. I'm Randy Bueller. I'm sitting in a booth with Mike Flores, and we're getting ready to watch the draft between WeAd on the right-hand side of your screen and Ludipia on the left-hand side of your screen. The French veterans, a couple of them own the store where they all play in Clermont, France, against the Cinderella Story, the first last chance qualifier team ever to make it through to Sunday. First last chance qualifier players of any kind, individual or teams, to ever make it through to Sunday. And they're getting ready to draft the decks that they'll use to play their semifinal match. The French won the flip and decided to receive, so it'll be Andrew Pacifico kicking off for his team.
Listen to my cadence. It's very important that you're not drafting this card ahead of time.
Yep.
You know,
Mike and I
Mike
and I have the pack list, so we'll be trying to let you know what's going on. The judge is giving the players the last instructions.
When I say draft, if you haven't made a pick yet, I will remind you, make your pick. If not, the card will be chosen. Okay, so we all understand. I don't think it'll be a problem, but I just wanted to use that as a reminder. Okay? We have team one here.
Pacifico is
opening the pack first. We'll be going to the left. Follow my cadence. And at this point, player 1B, open up your pack and lay it on the table.
correct. Here comes the first pack. So Andrew Pacifico opens it up.
30 seconds to review.
What looks exciting?
Thief of Hope, Concerning Blade Master,
Ren Spirit,
Nagao. Oh, wow.
and long forgotten Gohi. My goodness, what a pack.
I think that Nagao and Thief of Hope are going to be the cards that get taken.
Pass the Gohi. You got to take Nagao. I agree with that. Pass Ren Spirit.
I've never lost a game that Thief of Hope resolved on my side, and I find it to be one of the most difficult cards to play against. The power of Thief of Hope is that so many decks are based around Spiritcraft.
Yeah.
And among the Spiritcraft triggers, Thief of Hopes is really relevant because...
draft.
All right,
Nagao goes to Pacifico.
And Thief Chambers. Yeah, that's correct. Blade Master goes to Palms.
Blade Master,
right on the right.
Gohi, Kodama's Reach are going to be the next cards that come.
Reach goes back to Smith.
Smith is probably going to take both mana acceleration cards.
That's not bad.
That's an awesome wheel.
That's Kodama's Reach and Sakura Elder?
Two of Green's. That's really an interesting position.
Is Green supposed to be on the right? That's how one skin drafts it all the time.
The incentive here is that, I'm sorry, not the incentive. The thing that the French team has to watch now is the green player on the right. His deck can go too many directions. One of the most important skills in this Logistic Draft format is to track where the opponent's green player is.
Right.
And different teams have different ideas of what to do with that information. But right now, the green player can go into one of the Man Acceleration Bomb decks. He can go to a green Beatdown deck. It's really hard at this point because he took two Man Acceleration cards that are very high picks.
That's giving him a lot of options. So here's Adam Chambers' pack. He'll get one card, and then it goes over to the French to divide up the rest of the pack.
Chambers took Thief of Hope first, is that correct?
Yep. Looks like Reciprocate, Moth Rider Samurai, Kodama's Might, Orochi Ranger. It's not very exciting.
This is not a great pack for him.
No, not a whole lot. Waking Nightmare, I guess, is the best black card?
I think that's the best black card, but you might take his second color here instead.
Kodama's Might, interesting.
I think that's probably a good pick.
Moth Rider goes to Palms. He's got a couple nice white picks.
You can't imagine that Kodama's Might's going to get to his teammates, so...
True. That's the best card in the pack?
Yeah, it's... That's the best green card.
I mean, it's the best card right? Maybe Reciprocate?
Reciprocate's not. I mean, in terms of tricks, Kodama's Might splices. It wins fights.
Sure. Who took the Reciprocate?
Draft.
Yeah, Ben Combs has got a nice white deck coming together, but he took Moth Rider Samurai
over Reciprocate?
Yeah.
Moth Rider Samurai is considered by a lot of players to be one of the best cards for breaking stalemates.
Okay. And he knows he's going to be playing against a green deck already, too. Maybe that helps. I don't know. Don't you Reciprocate against a green deck? I don't know.
Do you really want to destroy their creature after it hits you for 9? I mean, that's like... I mean, Moth Rider Samurai flies, and it's really hard to attack into it because White's got tricks, and it's
you have 30
big.
seconds to review.
Here's Ben Combs. The French will get the first 3 picks out of this pack. Looking at
Hound of Kanda.
That's all right.
Candle's Glow, Kodama's Might again. I mean, there's no way that the French are going to let that Kodama's Might get to the American team.
No, they don't have a green player yet, so we'll be interested to see. They send it down to Finney with this Gohi, or... He's the one that took the reciprocate.
So it's unlikely that a team is going to want to put one of their Russian draft players into green-white. The problem is that as good as green-white can be, it's a deck entirely based on tricks, and the other team knows all the tricks that you've got.
Draft.
Isamaro, of course. And then
Draft.
Cutthroat in the middle.
And it looks like they passed the Thomas Mike.
Wow. Where's Finay?
Can we just
Range shape.
get confirmation that they shipped the Kodama's
Yes, they shipped Kodama's Mike.
Wow.
Straight to Don Smith.
Smith's deck looks
Smith's like, I've never been to the Pro Tour before. This is easy. You wheel Kodama's Reach and Sakura Tri-Melder. You take Kodama's Mike fourth. No problem. I can play on the Pro Tour.
This is the Cinderella team. It would be unfair for them not to get a glass slipper shipped to them.
It's interesting. I mean, the French really had an opportunity there. They watched their opponents commit the colors. They pretty much know who he has lineup at this point. Pacifico's got white in the middle. Holmes has got black-green. Smith has got green something. So they know a lot.
Do you think the French are like, hey, let them have two good green players?
You have 30 seconds to
They just won't have a
some pro teams think that
like
green's just not as good. If you can put white against green, you can put 1-4s in front of their 3-3s and bust through with a couple of flyers.
Right. Well, here's Barnerell's pack. Looks like another Cutthroat. There's a Cage of Hands, Yamabushi's Flame, Mermaid, Ghostly Prison.
And
He
Yamabushi's
takes
Flame.
Devouring Greed off the top. Is that right? No, he hasn't picked yet. There is a Devouring Greed. He's already got a Cutthroat. He's got a Cutthroat and a red.
Player
so it's totally
2B, draft.
Takes the Flame. Interesting.
Well, Flame's the best card in the pack.
Sure.
Draft.
Finay took Devouring Greed? Interesting.
Draft.
Yeah, Cage,
Draft.
Pacifico. Cutthroat,
Draft.
Chamber.
Chamber's deck looks like a monster.
Draft again.
Cutthroat, Kodama's Mike.
Cutthroat Kodama's Mike's hard to beat.
Not
Draft.
bad. Cornerell could have had a second Cutthroat against Pacifico's
Draft.
white deck. I guess I'm a little surprised he went Yamabushi's Flame there. I mean, he can pass Yamabushi's Flame. I guess they didn't want to ship Devouring Greed, too.
You can't. It's despite taking a card that's good in your matchup, like Nezumi Cutthroat against a white deck. You don't want to destroy your teammates. Like you're letting your opponents have Yamabushi's Flame now. Like, that's really
No, well, they didn't even have a red mage. They could have given Finay the Yamabushi's Flame.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Instead of Devouring Greed, they could have taken Cutthroat Flame. I think what I wrote in there. Anyway.
You have 30 seconds to review.
Here's Finay's pack. Hold the Line. Kashi Tribe Reaver. Mystic Restraints. Houndmaster. Ren Spirit.
Ren Spirit, Houndmaster.
Kabuto Moth.
Oh, Kabuto Moth. Great.
He was white as well. He's got to reciprocate anyway, so presumably he'll take it off. Gesturing, yeah. I think that Liad knows that Moth is going to be out of this pack, and then we're going to divide it up.
What are the C players drafting right now, Randy? Just wondering.
The C players, it's the ones on the right.
Oh, left.
Well, Finay has Gohi Reciprocate. Now he's got a Moth, so he's white. He's got a Rain Shaper and a Devouring Greed. Chambers has got Thief, Cutthroat, Kodama's Mike. So it's green-black against white-black, white-blue.
Basically, the reason I ask is because the first two packs are kind of a wash because it's the same set going right and left.
Right.
So you're generally basing your draft on Betrayers of Kamigawa going left.
Right.
Most of the American teams I talk to say you want to put white on the left because of Waxman Baku.
Right.
But a really interesting strategy, and the Japanese have been employing this, is they put their black-red deck on the left because there's just so much removal in the third pack, and they just don't want to pass it. So it looks like Chambers is probably going to be the beneficiary of cards like Hirobi's Whisper, and his opponent is going to be the beneficiary of cards like Waxman Baku.
Yep. That makes sense. So here's the last pack of the first direction. Don Smith gets to open his first pack on Sunday. And looks at
Devouring Greed,
Glacial Ray, and Hanabi Blast.
So
Honda Cleansing Fire, Konama of the South Tree.
Now, what color is he in so far? He's in green?
Yeah, he's in green.
Oh, well, I think he's going to take the South Tree and shift both the red cards.
Well, shift him to they get 3 picks.
Oh, I completely apologize.
Right. So they don't really have a red mage yet, so it'll be interesting. They can have 2 now, Pacifico and Chambers.
It's
probably take red cards, right? Or do you take,
if that's the case, then they should give Chambers should get the Glacial Ray because you don't want to have too much of a red commitment next to each other.
Interesting. Glacial Ray goes to Don Smith. who's going to take the tree.
Oh, so Chambers is getting the tree. Smith is the one who has the two man acceleration cards.
Yes.
That makes sense. I had them confused because both green players are on the ends. That makes a lot of sense. He can just play one mountain for the Glacier Ray, and he can do stuff like splice it on his Phenonymous Reach.
So you basically got a 5-color green deck taking Glacial Ray. Pacifico's sitting in the middle. He took the Hanabi Blast, right? So is that his first real non-white card? I mean, he basically took white cards the whole time, right? He also has a Houndmaster, so he's looking at white-red. So they've got white-red, green-black, and 5-color green. They don't really have much of a blue mage.
What are the matchups?
Right. So you've got Don Smith's basically 5-color green deck at this point, playing against Ben Combs, who is very white.
That's
Webmaster, Moth Rider.
I think that favors Combs, despite the strength of Smith's cards.
All right, well, here's Don Smith's second pack. We've switched directions now, so the French will get the next 3 cards out of this. And attack has
Kodama's Reach again.
What do you think of Tatsumasa, the dragon?
Oh, that card's awesome.
I've heard different opinions.
His deck has man acceleration.
Yeah, that's
the other thing is that you can't let the opponent have Tatsumasa because in the wrong matchup it'll demolish you. Yesterday teams had Tatsumasa in their green-on-green matchups, and then they just put in a Jukai Messenger. It was unstoppable. Like,
fair enough.
That's the kind of card that's passing it means that you're going to lose one of your matchups if the opponent draws it. Also,
they're looking at the D up Tatsumasa.
The other thing, he's not going to
D it up. Yeah, they were like,
he's going to play it. His deck makes a million mana.
He's looking. They're really not sure. And all right, they went Dragon Fang. Makes sense.
There's a Rend in this deck.
Yeah, they are shipping a Rend.
I think it looks to me like Chambers is going to pick up the Grandma's Reach, which would be very good for
what are the
Rend
all the way through?
No,
it goes to Ben Combs, right?
Yes.
Yeah, Ben Combs got it.
The Mana Serpent's good anyway.
So you're asking about the matchups. You've got Don Smith's 5-color green deck now sporting Tatsumasa against Ben Combs' white. Maybe he's going into green. I don't know. We'll see. In the middle, you've got Pacifico's got an aggro white-red samurai deck. First pick Nagao. He's going white-red samurai. So that makes sense.
Great archetype.
It's a nice archetype anyway, and Nagao is the best card for it. So against Cornerell, who's got black-red, I guess. I mean, he's got Rens, Cutthroats, Yamabuchi's Flames. It's
going to be a shootout.
Removal heavy.
It's hard to say who's favored there.
It be bloody.
It depends on cards like Blessed Breath and Call to Glory.
Yeah, Pacifico gets the right tricks.
Yeah.
He can get out from under some of that removal.
Otherwise, the black deck is just faster.
Yeah, I haven't been watching Blessed Breath, but that could easily be the key to that matchup. I mean, Wead has been around long enough to know. They may not have played together all that often, but
that matchup is all about tricks, so...
You have 30 seconds to review.
Interesting. Our man on the floor, John Becker, is pointing out that Adam Chambers took Uncontrollable Anger over Black Zubera. Zubera went all the way to Camille Finet, who's got that Devouring Greed.
Despite the fact that Devouring Greed and Black Zubera are synergistic, you can't make the argument that Uncontrollable Anger isn't a much stronger card.
He's playing black.
Player choose C.
He's playing green-black.
Draft.
Like it was a D draft versus a card, a playable, I believe. I mean, he D'd up Uncontrollable Anger instead of getting a playable Zubera.
Draft.
You don't want to drown in playables, though. Like
Draft.
What does that mean? You don't want to drown in playables?
It's actually a strategy that teams like Slay, Pillage, Gerard were using, where they wanted their opponents to drown in playables because that allowed them to make more mistakes in building their decks. They didn't D. They didn't D as much, I should say.
Interesting. Was there another Hanabi Blast in this deck?
Yeah, there was Hideous Laughter as well.
Who got those cards, Becker?
Draft again. Draft. Draft.
There's another Hanabi Blast.
Open up your next booster and lay it out on the table.
You understand what I'm saying about drowning in playables, though, right, Randy?
Yeah, kind of.
Uncontrollable Anger is the kind of card that will legitimately beat you sometimes.
All right.
You have 30 seconds to review.
What do we got here? Sacred Bell. Unearthly Blizzard is a card loved, especially by John Becker, our man on the floor. Sacred Bell.
Do you think Gut Wrencher, Oni? How are you on the?
I don't remember any ogres moving. Who has ogres?
Finet already has a Gut Wrencher, Oni. He can take another one right here, right?
It's really interesting. I saw Saito from One Spin always drafting the 3/3 ogres in pack 3, and he always had a demon. So, you just get a million of those 3/3 ogres, and your demons become twice as good. And those ogres are great anyway.
Is Gut Wrencher the loss of life one or the discard one? It's the discard one.
Draft. Draft again.
So Finay's deck is kind of busty potentially. He's got double Gut Wrencheroni. He's got double Devouring Greed.
Draft.
Oh, Bornerell has the other Gut Wrencher. Interesting. The French have 2 players with Gut Wrenchers. Now who gets the ogres? How does that work?
Like you
just figure it's the last out of your hand and you don't worry about it? Alright, well here comes Ben Combs, the veteran member of Ludipia. Get a top, get a Mirror Mage, a Flame, Rain Shaper, another Devouring Greed, another Devouring Rage. There's that Call to Glory, could go right into Pacifico's deck.
Yeah, Call to Glory is awesome in Pacifico's deck. It's the kind of card that's really underrated, but in a Samurai-based deck, it will just annihilate you if you don't see it at the right time.
Player 2A, draft.
So Combs takes.
Draft.
Flame, sure. Greed goes to Chambers.
Draft.
Rage goes to Pacifico? Alright.
Does Pacifico have any spirits?
I don't think so. He's got Samurai, right?
Draft.
Is he going to get Call to Glory back?
Draft again. No.
Could have taken Battle Mad Ronin too, right?
It's a pretty early pick for Battle Mad Ronin, unless you're Murray the Mauler.
They made him party with that. No, I'm willing to this one. I'm satisfied with that. I'm satisfied with how it is. Okay. I'm satisfied with how it is.
The disagreement with Finay was picking out a turn, perhaps, or he just got confused, got a little out of sync. Judge seems to straighten it out.
Draft. Draft again.
So, I'll get all confused about trying to figure out what's going on with the judges ruling. Pacifica wound up with Battle Mad Ronin, but not Call to Glory. Had the choice. They both came back to him. Would you take in the trick there? I know you like Call to Glory.
We were drafting the other night, you and I. I had one of the worst decks I've ever seen.
Yes.
But I Called to Glory you out in one of the few games that I won.
Who won the match?
That was a foregone conclusion with the deck that I had, but I had a lot of Samurai in play at the time.
It's true. You did.
I'm not saying I deserve to win or anything. I'm saying the game that I won was based on Call to Glory.
Fair enough. All right, so this is the next to last pack of Champions.
Who's opening?
This is Adam Chambers. He's looking at Shisato.
Looks like they
Savant,
got a ship a Savant,
Cage of
or unless
Hands,
they're going to do it.
Cutthroat, Sacred Bell,
blue mage?
Scuttles, Kami the Hunt. There is a lot in this pack.
Player 1C.
Is there a blue mage? He took Scuttles.
Not really.
I mean, I hate shipping Sortami Savant.
Draft.
Council went right after Sortami Savant. Becker, who got Sortami Savant? Oh, Smith got it. I'm sorry, they didn't have to ship it at all. Kami the Hunt and Sacred Bell. A dilemma in the vein of Brian David Marshall and Tim Aiden. Just went in the same deck, no problem.
Who wheeled that?
Draft.
Combs?
And he's fighting against Smith, correct?
Yep.
So is that green on green?
Yeah, it's white-green on 5-color green, basically.
Becker, who has the Jukai Messenger?
Second pack. Lay it out on the table.
Oh, okay, so it's on the wrong side of the table for anyone.
Right, yeah, you've got green on green with Smith versus Combs.
As I was saying before, a surprising number of matches yesterday were decided by Jukai Messenger.
Yeah, I mean, that's what happens if you Rochester draft, right? If you know your opponent has exactly that color, draft the Landwalker. I mean,
unfortunately, that's the color that has that has strength of cedars, so it really matters there.
Well, here's the last pack of Champions. Mirror Mage, a Bow, Riftwalker, Ren Spirit, Kadama's Might. A lot of Kadama's Mights in this. A couple cheapy White Weenies, Kami the Waning Moon, Azusa.
So you got to figure Ren Spirit and Kanama's might going early.
Yeah, Wead gets to just.
I think
suck
they're
up the
just
first
going to
two
D
picks.
the Ren Spirit.
Somebody's got to be playing black, right? Oh no, wait. Pacifico's back.
What did Pacifico take?
9 Ringbow.
Draft.
And so Ren Spirit goes to the other team?
Draft.
For today, yeah.
9 Ringbow.
Draft.
What does this opponent have?
Draft.
Black red. He's got black red with a bunch of 1 toughness guys.
1 toughness spirits?
I've just been writing down all his removal. I've been writing down his good cards and their
Draft.
removal spells.
It's likely then that Pacifico has been paying much better attention to the,
You think?
the opponent's lineup.
I
than-
suspect Pacifico knows Bornerell's deck better than we do.
His
Yeah.
first pick 9 Ringbow is rather an unusual decision.
Draft
Yeah.
again.
But
It's interesting.
yesterday, Hanky was demolishing people in the blue on blue matches. So.
Yeah, but this is white red on black red.
Player 1B.
Yeah,
There's no blue to.
I'm just talking a
Yeah,
simpler
yeah, yeah.
example. Hanky, a card that is generally not considered very good.
Good point. Well, here we go to Betrayers of Kamigawa.
To the left. We are
Andrew
reverse
Pacifico
order.
opens up the first pack of Betrayers. The
30
direction
seconds
switches
for
around. The Ninja the Deep Hours. Skullmane Baku. Ink
Ink
Eye.
Eyes.
Servant of Oni.
So
The
Ink Eyes,
Glass Kite.
is that going to the left?
Yeah, he can give it to Chambers.
Yeah,
He's got the
Chambers
Steeple
will be
Belt out of the
taking
first pack.
Ink Eyes,
Yes.
without a doubt.
What does Pacifico take?
Pacifico takes a card that ships Ink Eyes.
Can't use the Glass Kite.
100 Talent Strike's not very good at this point. He might just D. Oh, Flames to the Blood Hand. Flames to the Blood Hand.
Blood Hand or
Player
not
1B.
Cohort, right?
Draft.
Takes the Glass Kite. D's up Glass Kite.
Draft.
I don't think he's playing blue.
Draft.
I mean, I'm not really sure who's playing
I
blue
thought it
on
was
for
White Red
Wead.
Samurai, we decided.
That's what I thought he was.
Yeah, it's
But they have no blue mage, so.
Yesterday, Nova versus no fat chicks, there was
Draft.
no blue mage, and there were 5 red mages.
Draft again.
I talked to Eugene Harvey outside of that match. He's like, "Oh, you never want to split red," and I was like, "There were 5 red mages." Nova didn't have a blue mage. He's like, "The
Draft.
decks must all been bad." I was like, "No, they just opened a lot of blind with angers."
Draft. Draft again. Draft. And
Interesting.
Wow.
Mark of the Oni just got drafted by Adam Chambers, John? Yeah, Adam Chambers did a really smart pick there. Mark of the Oni is really good against Gut Wrench Ogre. Or Gut Wrench Oni. You steal it, now you have a demon, so you get to keep
we
it.
have 30 seconds to review.
Okay, what's in this pack? Waxman Baku.
There you go. That's the setup.
Hirobi's Whisper.
So yeah, we're talking about what was Wead going to put on the left. This is they only get 1 pick out of this pack, so they only get 1 Betrayer's card. What do they want? They want the black one or the white one? It's kind of funny that
You
this
gotta
card,
take Hirobi's Whisper.
this pack has the top black card and the top white card.
Exactly.
Common. So did they want the Whisper or did they want the Baku? They said they wanted Hirobi's Whisper. They put the black mage on the left. So they get their Whisper, but they do have to ship a Waxmane Baku over here.
Luckily, Hirobi's Whisper kills Waxman Baku.
It's fair. That looks like the Baku's going to go
But
to...
on
Yeah,
the other
Crystal
hand,
Combs.
Chambers is playing a giant green deck, right? And
Yes.
Waxman Baku is about as good of a creature as you can get against a giant green deck.
Draft. Draft.
Who got Taproot Kami?
Draft.
And Smith is green on
Green on
green?
green.
Yeah, Taproot Kami is one of the unsung heroes of green on green.
Okay.
The opponent can have a Moss Kami with
Draft.
9 Strength of Cedars, and it won't get through Taproot Kami.
Yeah, when you know you're playing green on green.
It's awesome. It's Spirit Craft,
Draft.
blocks everything. Blocks flyers, right?
Draft again.
Yeah. 1 mana.
Draft.
It actually reads 1 mana, never take damage.
Player
good
2
card.
is open free pack in the other
I can see why people swear by it. Should Combs have taken it for green on green?
What did Combs
He
take?
took the Waxmane Baku, but they could have shipped Waxmane. No, I guess he's the
I
running
mean,
white.
it's really hard to justify.
No, they could have. Finay's playing enough white that he could have run the Waxmane. He's got black white devouring greed. What did Finay take out of that pack?
Who got Waxmane Baku?
Ben Combs took it second for the green on green match. I mean, is Taproot so good you take it over Waxmane
No,
Baku?
Waxmane Baku is a better card.
But they could have put Waxmane Baku in their other white deck.
Perhaps they missed that.
I don't know what Finay took. So,
Player 2A. Draft.
all right. So this pack's got another Glass Kite,
Draft.
Shinobi, double Soul Shift guy goes first if Ben
Draft.
Combs. Glass Kite in the middle.
Draft.
Double Shoulder
Oh, no,
is
Shinobi
really
and then Glass
powerful.
Draft. Draft.
I saw some amazing things happen with pedal main Baku yesterday.
Draft.
One spin plays it every time. Like, we'll just run a Iganjo Castle for our white source, and then just put out pedal main Baku, and then summon white Myojin. No problem.
Draft. Draft again.
Is that Floodbringer 15th?
And draft the last card.
Is that Floodbringer went 15th? Is that correct?
Lay out your last
Chambers has made, well, I'm not sure, but Chambers made some more good picks there. Blessing of Leeches in that matchup could be pretty good.
You have 30 seconds to review.
All right, the draft is winding down. 3 packs left.
Torrent of Stone.
Another Blood Hand.
Torrent of Stone.
Ninja of Deep Hours.
It's a very good card.
Oh, the Control Magic card. Strider. Oh, Badoka Pupil. Pretty good pack. Bornerell and then Finay, and then they pass it over to Wead. What do they take?
Player 2B, draft.
Torrent into the black-red deck
Good
against
card.
Pacifico. And then Deep Hours into Finay's deck, so he's more black-blue.
Then Badoka Pupil just went.
Draft.
Don Smith has gotten ridiculous cards out of packs that his team didn't open. Now he gets Badoka Pupil.
That's
after getting Kodama's Might 4th.
Green is generally underdrafted, so
Yeah, apparently.
there's just bonus green cards going to Smith's deck.
Draft.
So looking at that, Finay's deck became more black-blue and not so much black-white. So he probably couldn't use that Waxing Baku I was complaining about earlier. Like, he had a Reciprocate and a Moth early, so I thought he was in white. But he's really,
Draft again.
I mean, maybe he's still in white. Maybe he's 3-color. Maybe he's black-blue-white.
What's the
But he's
removal
also,
on the other side? I mean, like, that depends
it's
on...
playing against Chambers. He's playing against Steve, Cutthroat, Tree, Ink Eyes, Kodama's Might, Green-Black. It's more bashers. It's not a lot of removal.
But, I mean, still, you have to figure that Moth gets less good if your opponent's black.
Right, so maybe he abandoned it, went to black-blue. I don't know if he's going to play as white or not. He got the early Reciprocate and the early Moth, but he may have just abandoned it. Another Taproot Kami. We'll see where this one winds up. It's Finay's pick, so does Smith take it second, or does Combs get it 5th?
Or do they shift? There's a patron there.
Oh, there's a Hirobi's Whisper in this pack, right? Bleeder Whisper. A couple of great black cards. Patron of the Aki. And that Taproot Kami.
Player 2C, draft.
Right, Finay takes the Hirobi's Whisper.
Draft.
Taproot second.
Yeah, I like it. That's the second
Draft.
for Don Smith. I like Wead's draft here. I'm not going to lie.
Draft.
They've really, I think, understood their matchups quite well.
I agree. I mean, it's the late picks. Do you think either team has opened better cards on balance?
Draft.
Pretty
I don't
even,
know.
right?
It's hard to say because Smith especially has been getting amazing picks at packs that they didn't open.
Draft.
Like nobody opened anything. Like there's
there's
no Maloku in this
Yeah,
set.
there's no Jitte,
there's
none
no
of the-
Blind with Angers. Like
Right.
there's
There's a
one,
hideous laughter.
but you can play, at least the kind of card you can play around.
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
harder to play around a card like Glacial Ray than it is to play around a card like Hideous Laughter.
Draft.
Right. And Wead has the one Glacial Ray in their 5-player
Player
deck.
1A, please open up your last pack.
I think that
So here comes the last pack of Betrayers. I think that the packs have been pretty even. I think that maybe Wead's benefited from deep packs opened by their opponents.
Wead's decks are a little better, I think.
But mostly I think Wead's decks are better because they've understood their matchups better and they've made some really great picks deep in packs. I mean, they've gotten the Taproot Kamis and they've gotten the cards to win those matchups. And I like the way they lined up their colors. I like the way they drafted. I think it may not be midnight yet. We'll see how this goes. All right, last pack has
Waxman
Eradicate,
Baku.
another Waxman Baku,
Another patron of the Aki.
Gnarled Mask.
First volley.
Player 1A, draft.
First pick patron. Who got the last patron, John?
Draft.
Pacifico. Pacifico wants Waxman Baku out of his
Draft.
stack, though. And then Chambers gets Gnarled Mask.
Draft.
They ship Eradicate.
Draft.
Yep. And a Suke summons.
Draft.
Eradicate goes to Finay.
Draft again.
Look at how late the first volley goes.
Draft.
Yeah, that's a good point.
It's like last volley.
Draft.
Shuko. That card is played and extended. It's very powerful.
Draft again. Draft.
All right, so what's going to happen now is that Mike and I are going to do a little analysis of this draft while these teams go off and get ready to build. Meanwhile, we'll bring the other two teams on. They'll still get ready to draft, and after they're finished drafting, Wead and Ludipia will come back and play out their match. So that's the plan. And well, let's try to get. We're also going to try to get John Becker on the camera down there. He's got some cool picks he wants to talk about. So we'll try to get Becker on the cam. And your take: who won the draft?
I think Wead won the draft.
Wead won the draft?
For exactly the reasons you were talking about. They were positioning their Taproot Kamis. I think that they saw a lot of synergy in their own decks, and there were points where you were saying that the French team had to sacrifice early strong picks like Kabutomo, switch colors, and I think that the packs were very lucky for Wead in the sense that they were able to establish colors early and stick to them, specifically because of the fact that their green mage ended up getting very early color fixing, so he didn't have to be the quote green mage.
Yeah, that first pack really set the whole thing up.
They had a power green mage, and now they also have a green mage that can take all kinds of colors. That's very disruptive to the opponent's strategy to begin with.
Let's see what John thinks. Let's go down to John Becker down on the floor. How's it going down there, John? Who do you think? How do you think the draft went?
I think that the French got taken apart, man.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely. There are a bunch of picks I don't think got really talked about, but I think are pretty relevant. In the Pacifico matchup, Pacifico picked a Ronin Houndmaster, which is really good against Bornerell's Kami the Waning Ruin and Izumi Cutthroats that he would have no other way to deal with. So I think that's a pretty important pick. Plus, it's a samurai, which goes with Nagao.
Sure.
And also in the matchup on Don Smith on Coombs matchup, a couple of things. Don Smith picked up a Manalo Sightbender, which seems like it could be a real breaker in that matchup. I mean, I know it seems like it's almost a splash room. He's really more of a green-blue mage with a couple of additional spells thrown in there. And so Sightbender can let him get his monsters through the green matchup, while his Taproot Kami hold everything down. It seems like we're only talking about cards that are generally like draft leavings. They seem in this case to be really, really good.
Which is true.
That's how Team Rochester works.
Though.
That is how Team Rochester works, right?
Also, there are a couple other interesting things about Don's deck. He has, I think, a double Pier with double Kadama's Might in his deck too, so he could be doing a lot of splicing as well.
He's also the player who has Glacial Ray, right?
Yes, he also has Glacial Ray. So his deck is real reminiscent of that 5-color splice deck. I think that Shu played in Nagoya a couple of months ago.
So you think it's going to be all 2-for-1s the entire match?
I don't see how it can't be. I think that the Wead they did a terrific job of really working their matchups and taking those cards that are underrated but really, really powerful.
Fair enough. So you've got Don Smith with the 5-color splice deck, mostly green-blue, but Glacial Ray thrown into some sauce. You like him over Ben Combs?
Yeah, I think so.
And he's also got the Dragon Sword, right?
Yeah, he's Dragon Sword. Although Ben did pick up, I believe, a Tarashi's Grasp that might be able to help him deal with that sword if he wants to.
Still, I mean, threats are better than answers. So.
Yeah, and of course,
especially when you can respond to the Tarashi's Grasp by making his amazing flying creature.
Right. And he has the Kadama's Might and Square Tri-Builder. He'll fix his mana. So if, assuming he doesn't get stuck on 1 or 2 lands, I think
it sounds like you like
good shape.
You like Pacifico over Bornerell as well.
I think it's going to be a much tighter matchup. I mean, Pacifico's deck is a little bit slower, but I think that it's just a more solid deck than Bornerell.
But he didn't get the tricks we were talking about earlier, right? He doesn't have a lot of Blessed Breaths or Candle Slows, right?
He does have a Candle Slow in his deck. I mean, he doesn't have a lot of them, but he does have a blow.
And then Chambers versus Finney?
Chambers versus Finney. I think that one's going to be closer. Finney picked up a bunch of good cards. I think there's a Hideous Laughter there. But I think Chambers made a couple of smart picks. I don't know if he's going to end up playing that Mark of the Oni, but it's a great way to take your opponent's gut wrencher.
Yeah. He got some great first picks too. Ink Eyes, Thief, Kadama's Might, Tree, Cutthroat.
We have to actually emphasize, like, as good as Hideous Laughter is, it's a lot less good against a deck that's got Ink Eyes and Kodama.
Yeah, he's got a couple pretty bomby cards in there that he can bring.
All right, well that was the first draft. That was fun. And now we are.
I think we're starting up the second draft.
We're set up for the second draft, and Mike and I will be right back with coverage of semifinal draft number 2. Stay tuned.